Hi Queens, welcome back to another video. We're doing full glam today. Also doing a Q&A because I just find that to be more interesting. So also, I don't know if I mentioned, but these questions are all over the place. It is literally, there is some content creator questions, there's some fashion questions, beauty questions, everything. So it's just like a hangout, you know, you can just put this on in the background if you're not interested in the makeup, and we can just chit chat. This will be a great video to watch while you're getting ready also. So again, we'll be all over the place. First question, your branding is quite perfect. Thank you so much. How did you niche down? I think this is a great question to start off with, because this is not something I think about. I think maybe when I first got started, you know, I had buckets of just things I was passionate about, things I, you know, was interested in, that I liked, but I don't actively think about my niche because so much of my content is just my life. I tell people that all the time. I'm sharing life. I always find it so odd when people are like, you know, the internet isn't real. I get what they mean, but like, it's what I share is so real because it's just my life, because it's way too much effort to fake it for me. I just don't even have the energy to fake it, right? So my niche is kind of like whatever phase of life I'm in. You know, like right now, my niche is fashion, which is always at the core, right? That's why I started on social media, to share fashion. I always share beauty. I wanted to be a makeup artist when I was younger, so I always share some form of beauty, but that changes, right? Sometimes I'm wearing less makeup and most of my beauty is about skincare, right? Then sometimes I'm really into glam, like this phase currently, where then I'm showing a lot of products. And then, you know, sometimes it's like a lot of body stuff or fragrance stuff. And right now it's interiors because I just bought this house and I'm excited about sharing that. But it'll change, right? Like sometimes I'll get into a new hobby. When I first started playing tennis, I was sharing, you know, more active things, but that's not like a core niche of mine. But if it's something I'm interested in at the moment, that's what I share, because the whole point is like, I'm just being social online. I'm trying to think of other niches. Sometimes it's travel, right? And it would seem like, oh, is she like a travel influencer? Not really, but in the seasons that I travel a lot, that's what a lot of my content ends up being. So you just start with your life, and the people that need to find you will find you. What are you letting go in 2025, style or fashion wise? I think this is a carryover from 2024, but I think I'm letting go of the need to like try everything. Now, I love trying things. I think that is like the best part of fashion. I think that's what makes fashion fun, having the liberty and the confidence to try things. But I used to feel the pressure to try things to serve my audience, right? Because like, you want to see how this trend looks, so I need to buy it to show you, because that's my job. And sometimes people would be like, oh, you wear this thing too much, or show us something new. And that would make me feel pressure to not necessarily always wear the things I like, but to be presenting you with options. And I'm letting go of that, because when I do like those roundups that I do, and I'm hating my outfit, or I look back on something and I don't like it, that's usually the case, because this isn't something I know the things I like, but sometimes I'm pushing myself to do something else to serve people. How do you edit content and videos? Pretty simple. I do edit everything that we produce. I think a lot of people think Josh edits. He is like the videographer and the photographer, but I edit the YouTube videos. I use CapCut. The YouTube videos, I use Final Cut Pro. So I edit all the Style Unlocked videos, and I edit everything on my YouTube channel. And I edit all of my reels in CapCut. Josh does edit all the pictures, so any photographs, and he uses Photoshop. I don't know what else. But yeah, I just use CapCut. They have great, you get the pro version, they have great tools and templates, and you can really make things look elevated if you have like if you have ideas. Like they have templates, but you can change the fonts to templates, and they have good transitions and just like stuff to just make things fun. But I suggest starting everything on your phone. I used to film on my phone. I used to edit on my phone. You can use InShot to edit videos. I think the first year of my channel, I filmed and edited and uploaded on my phone. So you don't need a bunch of gadgets to start. I told myself I wasn't going to put any money into this hobby until I proved to myself that I was going to be consistent with it. So I would challenge you to do the same thing. Next up, how to differentiate yourself from other creators struggling to find a niche. Your niche should, like I mentioned, just be what you naturally share and what you love, because you're going to be doing this for a very long time for free. You need to enjoy it. The other way I would say, I don't ever actively think about differentiating myself. I always am actively thinking about how to find the joy in this job. That is a natural differentiator, because what makes me happy and fulfills me is not going to make the next person happy. And then my other tip would be to get outside of your niche. I don't follow a lot of people that do what I do. That's not the way to get inspired or be creative, right? Because that's how I don't like to follow a lot of people that do what I do, because subconsciously their ideas are going to seep into your ideas, right? And then you're like, well, did they copy me or did I copy them? I don't even want to think about that. So I would say getting your inspo and just like following people that do totally different things. Sometimes I'll see something in a magazine and that will spark an idea for content, right? Or I'll see something in like one of my coffee table books, or I'll see something in a movie. Like you shouldn't even be thinking about other people. You should just be thinking about how to stay creative, and then always how to serve. Even when I'm switching up my content, or I need to find something new to do because I'm bored, I always think about how to serve my audience, right? So like I was doing for the first half of my channel, like the first 3 years, I would do trends videos and like how to style and like, staples for fall and things like that. And I know those were helpful videos, right? And that served people. But then I got to a point where I'm like, this isn't fun for me anymore. Like I'm out of ideas. I don't want to keep regurgitating the same things, but I know these videos were helpful. So then I could have been like looking to my left and to my right and be like, okay, what are other people doing? I'm just going to see what they're doing. But I was like, I need to find a way to fill my cup. I need to have fun with this. And I always need a challenge, right? Like I need to try something that is like kind of hard. And like, I like figuring things out. But I'm like, how can I do that and still serve my audience? And that's what made me come up with Style Unlocked. Because I was like, okay, the core of what I'm trying to do for people is help them find their personal style and get dressed quicker and like be able to put outfits together. But really that's about knowing yourself, right? So what if like people told their stories? It can't always be me talking. So I'm like, oh, other people's personal style might help. And then it was, kind of getting to the root or the core of like a new idea. But the reason was I'm still trying to serve my audience in the same way. So I think if you lead with those things. This question is from my boo, Frank in the City. If you don't follow him, go follow him. He's hilarious. He's stylish. He was on our holiday episode of Style Unlocked. He asked, if I had to get rid of all of my bags and only keep one, which one is staying? Only one. And that is so very easy. Honestly, it'd be two, but my initial thought is my blue Birkin 25. It's just the perfect bag to me. I love it so much. Deal with people that don't respect boundaries or give backhanded compliments. I don't. I just remove them from my space. I think my thought process around the internet is that this is my space. And I will do whatever I need to do to protect my piece. I don't really care about the whole, you knew what you were getting into when you got on the internet, and I should be able to leave my opinion. You can leave it on your page, but if it makes me feel any type of way, it's not living here. Because this is my world. You're coming into my world. So I'm going to delete it and I'm going to block you. Again, if it makes me feel any type of way, even if I answered something, like sometimes I don't mind having even like a discourse or answering a question, or maybe it's a tough question, but that doesn't mean every time I go on my notifications, I want to look at it. So I don't. And obviously that takes a lot of building up your, taking criticism is a lot, and especially when you don't ask for it. So it takes a lot of building up your tough skin, I guess. But I am no nonsense about it. Like, because I'm also very much of the mindset that I am cultivating a safe space for me and people like me. So sometimes people will make a comment and I'm like, that's not how my people roll. Like, that's not what we do. So even if you didn't mean any harm by it, I don't deal with people, just like in real life, that would talk crazy to somebody like that. Right? I don't deal with people and interact with people that would leave a rude comment. Like sometimes I'll see somebody comment something rude on somebody else's page, and then I'll go to their page and they follow me. I'm blocking you, because that's not what we do over here. And you didn't get the memo, so you don't get to be over here. Some luxury channels have changed direction completely. Do you plan to do the same? My channel is always evolving. I think the luxury channels that have changed were a very specific type of luxury. Again, I didn't start my channel as a luxury channel. I just watched my first video on YouTube last night, which was a vlog. And then I think it was like essentials and stuff like that. Like, this isn't a luxury channel. If someone asks me, when people ask me like, oh, what is your YouTube channel about? I always say fashion, beauty, and like a little bit of lifestyle. So it's never been a luxury channel. It is just like the rest of my content. It's where my life is at right now and what I'm passionate talking about and what I think will be helpful kind of channel. So, and it will also, hold on, I need to focus for 1 second. This is why I don't do a lot of, my battery died already. We're not off to a great start. But let's get back into it. I didn't do anything. Brows are I still need to blend out the concealer on my brows, but the brows are done. What media do I use for, breakout right there. What media do I use for fashion inspiration? Pinterest is always a go-to, but lately I've been using magazines. I'm really just back in the magazine era. Because again, for me, it's not about, did I do my under eye? I can't remember, so now I have to do it again. Multitasking is hard, but I can't have a dry under eye. For me, it's not about copying an exact look, but it's just about finding inspiration. Again, I get that from everywhere. So magazines I'll flip through. Sometimes I just get like color combo ideas, or like I have a pair of pants like that. I should, restyle them again. Oh, this is a great question. Best and worst thing about working with my husband. Best thing is obviously we get to just spend a lot of time together, creating. He knows me, so there's a comfortability there. It's convenient, which is a huge factor in like being able to like be creative and like work on a whim, or when you get an idea, right? Like I can get an idea today and execute it today or tomorrow. Obviously it's if he feels like it, but he also loves trying things and, learning things. So usually if I have an idea, he's excited about like trying it, especially if it's something we've never done. What else is the best? Working together is mainly the best part, but it's a huge business expense. All of it. It's a huge benefit to like be able to turn things around quickly and just be able to like produce when I get ideas, because I'm not always creative. I'm not always in the mood. So then when I am, I don't have to worry about like checking someone's booking schedule and seeing if they have the availability to like shoot me and take my pictures. So probably that. Worst thing is having a clear line of when we're working and when we're not working. And I'm trying to think, which has been like a learned thing. And not getting frustrated with each other. I think especially when you are super passionate about what you're doing. For me, I always have an idea of how I want things to look. And sometimes I have to relinquish that control, because obviously he has ideas too, right? Because he is a creative person too. And sometimes he thinks something looks better in one way, or he wants to try things a certain way. And I'm so worried about getting what I want. And sometimes I have to be like, he'll be like, oh, let's try this pose. And I'm like, well, no, I know I want this pose. And I have to be like, okay, we're both working. So let's try your way and my way. And a lot of times, like the thing he wants, I'm like, oh, that was such a good idea. But in the moment, I'm like, I know what I want. That's probably the hardest part. I love what you're doing with Style Unlocked. Thank you so much. Do you ever see it being on TV? It is not a goal of mine currently. Like I said, the creation of Style Unlocked was just me figuring out a way to bring me joy and still serve my audience and challenge myself, learn something new. And right now I'm just in the phase of making an idea as good as it can be. I love that. I love doing something and actively working towards like, how good can this get? And also filling up my tool belt of just like, these tools can take me anywhere type of thing, right? So just like being able to interview people, being able to like active listening and asking probing questions, and being able to just interact with all different types of people and carry a conversation, lead a conversation, bring the best out of people. That's the zone I'm in right now. When I first started on my camera or on my phone with YouTube, how long did it take me to edit videos? A very long time. But I also would try to film, like plan out the video enough where when I'm filming, I'm like self-editing, right? Like starting and stopping the camera. So that way when I would get into editing, all I'm doing is just like cutting the images down, cutting the clips down. Like if you watch that video I was just talking about, there's not a lot of editing involved. I think I put one text thing on the screen and then just like clipped and like trimmed some of the clips. Are you beyond featuring clothing hauls and how to wear videos? I wouldn't say beyond, because that sounds really like hoity-toity. I wouldn't say beyond. Oh my God, I need some new concealer. I would say I just have to be inspired. Like I cannot fake being on camera, like pretending to be excited about something. So I don't want to produce content and not give it my all. So when something excites me, right, maybe it's a purchase that I'm excited to style, I will naturally, make a video where I'm styling it several ways or wearing it different ways, or if there's a trend that I'm really excited about. I think the last time that happened, I did a reel though, instead of a full video. Like sometimes I just don't find the things I used to do as interesting anymore. And I always tell people, I'm my target audience, right? Like most of the women that are here are we're a similar age group or similar demographic or similar upbringings or styles, or there's something about us that is similar. So I feel like if I find it boring, you will probably find it boring or just kind of like over it or like you've seen it before. So that's that. What advice would you give to an aspiring influencer, a YouTuber in 2025? God, that sounds crazy to say, 2025. Create realistic goals and be consistent. Consistency is always going to win. That's such an annoying answer, I know. But that's where the realistic part comes in, right? Like you can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to do a video every day on YouTube. And that's how I'm going to grow my channel, because people said I need to post. So I'm going to post. I'm going to post every day, or I'm going to post 3 times a week, knowing damn well you don't have the capacity to make 3 videos, edit them, and post them every week. So that's where people create unrealistic goals, can't meet them, get defeated, and quit. The best thing I ever did was, one, start my YouTube channel, but also have the awareness of like what my capacity was, right? I was working a full-time job, and I had a very stressful job. I worked 50, 60 hours a week. I was already posting on Instagram, and I was like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. The most I can do is 1 video a week. Right now, I also had a blog. So I'm like, the most I can do, all I have the energy for is 1 video a week. And I got to figure that out. But when I made that decision, I was able to put up a video every week for a year. Because I got the hang of it, but I still knew I couldn't add to it. 1 video was all I had. But that helped me grow my channel so much, because the algorithm rewarded me with consistency. And I also, because I wasn't extending myself above my limits. I don't know the term I'm trying to think of, but I also could I gave myself time to research topics, figure out what was trending, what were people looking for, what were people not creating that I could fill the void of creating that type of video. All those things go into making good videos, right? It's not always just about doing the thing and putting it out there, but it's also like, I don't have time to waste filming a video and editing it and uploading. I need to make sure this is hitting when I put this video out. So I need to take the time to research my topic and write an outline and make sure the video is good and succinct and that I can edit it well and make it interesting. I need to do all the things, and I can only do that for 1 video a week. That is my advice. Create realistic goals, stick to them. I have lasted a lot longer than a lot of people based on that thing. Because it's very discouraging when you are putting your all into something, but your goal was so ridiculous to begin with that you couldn't stick to it. That's my tip. Would I ever move to NYC? I never say never about anything, but I don't see it for me. I would rather even a long little stint, but living, it would have to be like a life-changing type of situation. Not life-changing, but like a business decision. Like I am on a TV show that is in New York City, and they are paying for my lodging or something. Something kind of like, okay, this is temporary, but also like you can't pass it up, or like it's too cool of an opportunity. When I started with YouTube, did I plan to make money off of it? Absolutely. But my goal was to grow before I started making money off of it. So in my mind, I knew people made money, but I also wasn't thirsty to make money off of it. And I was clear that I didn't want to turn people off trying to make money too soon. So even when my channel was monetized, I still didn't start running ads for a minute, because I just was trying to get as many subscribers as I could, and not having the ads on the video, right? It's just different, and people would just stay and watch longer without turning it off. And then I was always really selective about even just ads or partnerships, again, because I didn't want to find balance, right? My goal was always to make money. And this is my goal in general. I want brands to pay me. I'm not trying to get your money. That makes sense. Now, if you want to use my link, I put links up because it's convenient, and I don't want to be a gatekeeper. But my goal is not that you pay my bills. My goal is that this brand that is $1 billion brand pays my bills. So yes, it was a goal to make money. And I just said this last night. I don't think I monetized my channel until a year in, but ever since then, that has paid our mortgage. And that was my goal. I was like, if I can get YouTube to pay, at the time, our rent, I'm like, everything else will be extra, right? I just need this much money. I think initially I just wanted to make $3,000. I think our rent was $2,700 or something. And then I wanted to make $5,000. And then now our mortgage is a little more, but And I always tell people that because also like, I don't get like crazy views. And I also only do still one video a week. Like I went through phases where I've tried to do 2, but for me, 1 is just all I got on top of all the other things I do. So that's not like to still be able to like cover the bills or make the money I want to make because all of those views just accumulate over time and I'm consistent is a win for me. This is a good question. I have the same answer I always have. I hope that it's helpful. How do you get over the fear of putting yourself out there and accepting criticism? I never had that fear. I don't know if it's a me thing. And this could be because I moved out of my hometown. It could be because I was raised by a great parent who just always, poured into me, itching, and, told me I could do no wrong and just kept me open to like trying new things. But when I started posting on Instagram, I never thought like, are people making fun of me? Are people talking about me? Are people like sending this to people in their group chat? It honestly, it never entered my mind. So that part I can't speak much to, but just like criticism in general, I was always of the belief, especially once I really got my like footing in this and really like started enjoying it and figured out it could be a career. And then of course it started to change my life. I was never gonna let a stranger stop me from living this good life. That's how I think about it. Like, I'm not gonna feel any type of way. This is a dream. I can't believe I get to do this as a job. I'm not gonna make you, person I don't know, make me feel any type of way about it. That's crazy to me. So that's how I deal with it, right? Like most of the time when I see things, I'm like, oh, you must be miserable. I literally, because my friends, the people I know, the people that are happy, we're not fussing online and we're not talking shit about people online. And I could literally care less. So I always just think like, you're not in a good place. Something you're seeing in me is making you feel a type of way. This ain't about me. And also, I think the last like criticism that kind of even made me feel a little type of way was the whole Sephora Squad thing. If you don't know, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but there were a lot of people who thought I was undeserving of Sephora Squad. And I know 2 things can be true at the same time. I think I said this on a live. I was like, if I was someone, obviously I do beauty. I love beauty. I want to be a makeup artist at some point. I'm good at beauty. But I also get that if I was someone who sat down and did makeup videos every day and my goal and dream was to be on the Sephora Squad and I saw someone who mainly does fashion get the opportunity I didn't get, I'd be upset. I'd be disappointed. I felt like I did everything right. I feel like, they don't love it as much as I do. I totally get that. But at the same time, I also am not going to feel any type of way about it either, because what's for me is for me, and whatever they were looking for, they saw it in me. And because someone else is disappointed doesn't discount me being deserving. So that's how I handle criticism. Because I always say, most people can never outwork me. So I'm never going to feel a type of way about getting something or being chosen for something or getting an opportunity. The biggest lesson I learned in 2024. Patience. I have literally none. And I think everything that was happening in 2024 and still is like pushing me to be more patient, moving. We were prepared to move back to the DMV in February. We sold our house in February. And this house was supposed to be done. It didn't end up getting done until May. So we were in Airbnbs and it was literally the worst time of our lives. Just very stressful in a relationship, stressful trying to work. And not just one Airbnb. I think we lived in probably 10 because the builders were never honest with like the house is going to be done, right? So they would say, move in will be next week. So then we wouldn't rebook our Airbnb, and then Friday they'd be like, oh, actually we need another week, and the Airbnb would be booked. That probably happened 10 times. So it was just terrible time. Also, I've been working on my own brand. I worked on it all last year. We're coming up with this, it's 2 years I've been working on it. And I'm just so impatient. Of course, I wanted to be right. So initially I was just kind of like, however long it takes, I just wanted to be right. I want to launch right, quality and da. But at a certain point, I'm like, all right now. Because there's just certain things that are just out of your control. Like, so patience is the ongoing lesson theme that I've been learning. How does a 29-year-old freshly in her career making 85 to 90K budget to afford name brand? I'm gonna shoot it to you straight, because I just think everybody is getting lost in the sauce. And I think it's great that people that are 20 years old are making millions of dollars and can buy mansions and all the designer they want. But I think we also need to keep in mind the natural progression of life, and it's okay to not have a bunch of luxurious things in your 20s. Hell, even in your 30s. Because most people that are progressing in their career, it will happen naturally. And obviously you can budget. If you want to treat yourself, girl, you can go, Fashion File is where I got my first bag. You can try Rebag. You can just save and make buckets of things like savings and, work towards something special. There's lots of options. You can get on The Real or Vestiaire Collective and, be strategic with the things you want and how you search for them. There's lots of outlets and things you can do. However, the thought of buying something luxury never even popped into my mind. There was no yearning, there was no craving when I could not afford it. It just was not. The first time I thought about buying a luxury item was when I had so much money. I thought, what am I going to do with all this money? And that was when I got my first bonus from Target. This is after working. I'm definitely I might have been 29 or 20. I might have been 29 or 30. I feel like I was in my 30s. Yeah, I want to say I might have been 32. And this was not even just my first. This wasn't my first bonus, just in a leadership position. I think this was my first bonus as a store manager. And that was a big bonus. I think it was $20,000. And then to me, it was oh, this is how people afford really nice things. Maybe I could get a designer item. Before that, I never even went in luxury stores, never craved luxury things. It just wasn't. I was just very content, and I like the things that I like, and that's just not my thing. That's not my lifestyle. I'm not gonna put it on a credit. I think we all just need to come back down to reality. Again, there's nothing wrong with dreaming and wanting things or working towards things or treating yourself, but it's also not mandatory, and it's not gonna make a difference, right? I shop and buy the things I buy now because that is the phase of life I am in. And I like to tell people, I'm if I still worked at Target, this would still be the phase of life I would be in, right? I'm 40 years old. At the time when I was leaving, I was interviewing for a director level position. If I didn't get it there, I would have went somewhere else and got it if I didn't do this thing, right? So I was already making, I think when I left, I was making $130 a year plus yearly bonuses, which was around $30,000, $40,000. So at this point, right, 6 years later, I probably at least would have been making $200,000. Josh would have still been working at his job. So our combined income with no kids, I would have been buying clothes that cost a little more. Maybe not to this extent. But the natural just progression of life and how I buy things, that would have naturally happened. And I think that happens for a lot of people. Your 25 shouldn't be compared to my 40 is my point. And I feel like that's what we see a lot or just someone's like something that is abnormal, right? A 25-year-old making $1 million on TikTok is not, that is abnormal. So we shouldn't be striving for the abnormal. I hope that makes sense. I just think, and like, it definitely shouldn't stress you out, and you shouldn't feel any type of way about it. Like, and if you're interacting and engaging with things that do make you feel, I had to stop doing my makeup. I'm very passionate about this. If you're interacting or engaging with things that do make you feel a type of way, you need to stop that. You need to unfollow, you need to unsubscribe. If that's how you feel when you get on this channel, then you need to take a pause. Because there's so much joy that can be had in life, and striving for things that don't matter. These are extras. These are extras. But also, if my income goes down and I need to sell these things, baby, I'm gonna be right back at Forever 21. I'm gonna be right back at H&M, and I'm still gonna look cute. And my outfit is not gonna be cute based on because I have a Birkin. I hope that helps. But my suggestions would be The Real. If you want a bag, I would shop in person. They have lots of locations in different cities. Online, shoes and clothes is a good place to shop. Fashion File is where I bought my first designer bag, my first Chanel bags. I still have probably half of my collection is from Fashion File. I have bought a bag from Rebag before. The Outnet is where I still shop regularly. I literally have an Alaya dress on the way from the Outnet. So those are my recommendations if you want to treat yourself. I am not a proponent of Klarna, Afterpay. I think those are useful tools when you need it, but it should not be a lifestyle. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I know it's looking a little harsh, but the powder's gonna bring it down. But this is also what it takes to like really see the makeup. I think sometimes my makeup looks really natural, and people are like, how do you get it to look so natural and flawless? It's a lot of makeup. It's a lot of makeup. All the celebrities, when you see them on the red carpet, and it looks, if people don't have on a lot of eyeshadow, it looks like they don't have on a lot of makeup. That's the trick also. But it's still a lot of makeup. It's a lot of layers. It's a lot. Sorry, I needed some light. Love the powder part. Okay. This is a great question. Which lived experience has prepared you most for where you are now? Absolutely working at Target. It taught me how to lead. It taught me how to work under pressure. It taught me how to lead by example. It taught me a lot about just work ethic and integrity, like being, and I say this, if you're a manager or you like are usually the top person in your space or your field, you'll understand, but being the most important person in a building is a lot of weight to carry. And like leading by example, when that is the case and you are the example for 250 people, is a lot. So I think that also is like, it's what helps me with like these eyeballs on me now, is that I'm used to being in a space where what I do impacts hundreds of people and how they move, right? And if I say something is important, I also have to act like it's important and move like it's important, right? And if something is a priority, I have to show that it is a priority in how I act every day. So all of those things. Tips for the awkward, shy wannabe creators. I love this question. Lean into, like, find what you're comfortable with and lean into that. I think, again, we're so busy looking sideways trying to do what the next person is doing. Do voiceovers. Do silent videos. There's a lot you can do. There's half the people, probably more than half the people that are online or are shy people. Now, do I think YouTube is a place for shy people? Probably not. But it's also one of those things where like you may think you're shy, but it's really just like practice makes perfect, or practice makes getting comfortable, right? Like I am not an outgoing person. I probably seem like it, but I'm sitting here talking to myself. Who am I going to be shy in front of? I think that's the thing you have to get like out of your mind. And the more you do it, the more you'll get comfortable. Like obviously I'm very comfortable now, but I was still awkward when I first started. But as you do it, you realize there is no one here to get awkward for. But also lean into like, figure out what you like and then a workaround. Because that's also how you create different, unique styles of content, right? Like something I did, I think this was last year or maybe 2 years ago, was I started doing my outfit videos and not putting music over them, but also not talking. So it was kind of like ASMR, but that was not my intent. It really was just that I didn't have the energy to talk. And I was like, you know what? I need to produce content every day, or I need to batch it and do multiple pieces of content every day, but I don't have it. I don't have it to give. I can't be fucking chitter chattering for 20 videos because I'm trying to batch film. We're just going to do it silent and see how that works. And then those were like my best videos. So then I leaned into that and just kept doing them until they weren't my best videos. But just like get creative. Because there's plenty of people that are online that aren't talking or aren't like talking people's heads off and are still successful. Back. Is there anything I would do differently if I could go back? No, I don't think so. Maybe get on TikTok sooner, but I needed the time that it took me to get comfortable. So also like, I don't know if that would have made a difference either. I am a married woman with no kids. Do you and Josh want kids? This is also one of the most asked questions. No, we do not. And the only reason I continue to talk about this is because I know there are other people who probably don't want kids, and hearing other people that also don't want kids is like reassuring or like makes you feel like you're not alone. So no, we do not want kids. I've never really wanted kids, but I was willing to have a kid because Josh is just amazing and I knew he'd be a great father, and you know, he's just like an amazing person. But then when he said he didn't want kids, I said, oh, say less, sir. Say it less. And we both have different reasons why we don't want kids. He doesn't want kids because he thinks the world is a terrible place and doesn't feel comfortable bringing a child into the world. It just stresses him out. He just is not into it. And I just don't think everybody should be parents. I think you should have kids if you want to have kids. If you have a strong urge, you couldn't wait to be a mother, you have always thought about having children, like you know the type of mother you're going to be, those people should have kids. I think the people that are like, wouldn't mind it, probably not for you. That's the category I fall into. Like, not against it. I always was like, oh, if it happens, it happens. That shouldn't really be the vibe either. I feel like you should be like, oh my God, I've been waiting my whole life. I cannot wait. That should be the vibe. And a tip I like to give, obviously you've been seeing tips throughout the video, is when you feel like you're done, at least with your base, give it a minute to settle. This requires getting ready early. But then I go and look in different mirrors. Because while you're in the process, it always feels like, oh, I got a lot of makeup on my face, especially if you're layering your makeup and doing all these steps. But then this is when you go out and you take a picture and you're like, why can't I see my makeup? Once I get up and come back, I always put on more makeup, right? Things have settled a little bit and I'm like, you know what? I could really use some more blush. So I just added a little more blush. I also, even though you saw me put powder here and cut this, I did it again and let it sit a little longer because it's still going to continue to marinate as we get ready and as we do our eyes. And you got to be, for the celebrity pro level look, you kind of got to be heavy handed. So that's my tip. Let's get back to the questions. I'm going to work on my eyes. And this is my new eye look, which I feel like makes people think the makeup is more natural than it is. It's not. Still all this makeup. But because I found a way to do a neutral eye that still gives me an eye look, it's very much 90s she looks so natural, but also glam. So I'm gonna do my eyes, and then we're probably gonna come back to the face again and add more. Oh, I love this question. What brings me joy in the small moments when I am by myself? Any hobbies? First of all, I love being alone. That is just like true only child. Like, I literally, it's so funny. Akita always jokes like she'll call me and I'm like, oh, I'm in bed. She's like, you're probably having a ball. I'm having the time of my life. Like, if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take tomorrow off, staying in bed all day and just watching old ass movies, eating some popcorn, having my laptop, do a little online shopping, being on TikTok, time of my life. Time of my life. So that's what I like to do. Hobbies, I like to play tennis when the weather permits. I like to paint. I recently got into painting. And I say recently, like, I've always just been a creative person. So like when I was younger, I used to draw a lot. So now that I get to do more creative things as a job, I'm trying to find other creative things that I like that I'm not good enough to get paid for, that I can just enjoy, you know, and not turn into a job. Because that's just like the world we're in now. Like, anytime you're good at something, it's like, should I be selling these? Should I be doing this? And I'm like, definitely not a good enough painter to sell them. So let's just do that and enjoy the process of making a thing and learning a thing, and not being the best at something, or, you know, so good that it could be a new career. I love going to the movies, getting me a slushie and some popcorn and some nachos, little pretzel bites. So I feel like movies is like my number one hobby. I love it so much. I'm going to answer this question. It kind of hits on another question, but this is probably the number one question I get asked, that I talked about earlier, that we all need to like get a grip. With not much money, how do you start being an influencer in fashion? You should not be spending money to be an influencer. To me, that's cheating. To me, that is pretending to share your life. You know, pretending, that's faking it to me. Right now, can you be strategic and say, hey, there's a new launch at Target. I would typically buy this anyway, but this time I'll buy an extra piece to do a giveaway, or I'll buy an extra 2 pieces because I want to review them, but these are things I would buy anyway. This should be what you already do. And I tell people all the time, that's why I love this job so much, because this is what I already did. I was always the suggestion friend. They help you pick out an outfit friend. The what are we wearing tonight? I'll come up with the ideas friend. Do you need me to help you pick out something? You see me in the mall and you're like, oh, I love this. I'm telling you where I got it from, how much it was, why that's the spirit of this job, is something I would be doing anyway. What was my biggest accomplishment in 2024? It was definitely buying this house. I literally, me and Josh, probably once a month, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we live here. So sorry. There's a million things happening. Okay, great question. Do I buy in between sizes with weight gain, and how do you make your old clothes work? This is one of the reasons I always try to size up in things, because you can always take them in, but you can't really let them out. You can a little bit. So I will typically I made a few mistakes last summer. Really, like this time last year was at my to me, my ideal weight. That is when I am consistently working out and just eating well, not restricting myself a ton, but just being consistent. And I invested in a few things and I got them just right, instead of a sizing up like I usually do. And right now it's only a 10-pound difference, but I tell you that 10 pounds is whooping my ass, because the Chanel jeans I bought, they're so tight right now. I have, it was something else. Oh, the Kate snakeskin outfit, so tight right now. And I'm just all I can do is at least try to get 5 pounds off so that I can get in it. But typically I try to buy my clothes just oversized. And I know kind of the range I stay in. This size is my natural size. If I don't really work out, or I just work out a little and I eat okay, I'm a size 6. If I'm not doing anything and I'm just going buck wild, I'm a size 8. If I am consistently staying on top of my workout and eating pretty good, I'm a size 4. So I know that's the range. So typically I will try to buy everything in at least a 6. What fashion or beauty content do you feel is missing from YouTube? I think content that serves people is missing. I think so much of what people create is self-serving, and it's look at me. I look pretty today. Look at me. My outfit is cute today. Look at me. My life is great. Look at me. My apartment is great. Look at me. That is what a lot of content is. And that's what some people can do, right? There are niches for that. Because that's kind of how we used to have celebrities, right? We used to want to look at their house tours and things like that because they were living this lavish lifestyle and it was just entertaining. But that can't be everyone. Someone has to be of service. I always say this is a service job to me. I work for you. And when I get on the internet, I should be providing you value. I know it's gonna get crazier before it gets normal. Just stay with me. Am I going to Paris Fashion Week? No. I'm not going back to Paris until it makes good business sense for me. I just tried a lot of seasons, spent a lot of money, never really got into any big shows, just never really made a lot of progress. And the feedback I got was just very, I'm trying to think of something to say besides what isn't coming right to my mind. But the only thing that's coming to my mind is anti-Black. Was the feedback I got around not being invited to certain things or, just making any headway. So it's kind of like, I got to do what makes good business sense, right? Because it's all about, having all the meetings and meeting all the people and building connections and being consistent. It's like, so I did that. Right. I think I went 3 or 4 seasons in a row. Every time I go to Paris Fashion Week, that's $5,000 minimum. Actually, no, that's more because the hotel is typically $5,000 because Paris Fashion Week is almost 2 weeks in a hotel. Then the flight for me and Josh, that's $5,000. So it's $10,000. So 3 or 4 times, that's $30,000 or $40,000 I've spent going to Paris Fashion Week. That doesn't account the shopping I had to do to make myself feel better for not getting invited to anything. So I just had to cut my losses for now. When I have a reason to go, intention, a check, I will go again. Like if someone said, here is an invitation, we want you to come to the show and it's next week, I would buy a flight and go. But I'm not going for like what ifs. When did I decide it was time to hire an agency? This is a great question. And also, a lot of people don't know, I've been with Kensington and Gray. I feel like I know they've gotten so popular, which I love. I mean, it's amazing. It's so actually amazing just to like see a brand like start from the ground and like grow so quickly. Me and the Yusufs always say we're the founding fathers. Because I think the Yusufs were their first sign. I was their second. So I have a very different relationship than most people with an agency. But what made me decide to get one was that I was at a point, and this was very early in my career, but I was at a point where I knew what I was good at and what I wasn't good at. And it's the same thing I was good at Target. I was never good at the admin stuff. I was good at the people stuff, the being on the floor, the interacting, the leading, the helping people get promoted, the training. I was a district trainer. I was a campus recruiter. I'm good at the people part, but I never liked being in my office. I never liked sending emails, doing all this stuff. So once I was doing this, I was like, somebody else has to do this whole negotiating thing. And just like back and forth, like this is just too stressful. It's making my tummy hurt. It's giving me anxiety. And I can't even focus on creating because everything else is just throwing me off. And I met Jenee, who is the founder of Kensington and Gray, online. she followed me and she would always just like help me out. I remember she like DM'd me and she was like, oh, you know, I love your page. If you ever need any help, like I work in, I forget what she said, but entertainment or something like that. And she was like, you know, I just have a lot of experience. So if you need help like negotiating with any brands or, you know, just any like tips or tricks or whatever, you know, you can always ask. And I was like, hell yeah, actually I have a question. So like the first time a brand reached out to me, I sent it to her and I was like, what do you think I should charge? And she like sent me back like all this information. And then we did that for like months. Like she would just, anytime someone reached out to, she would help me. And, you know, after a while I was like, oh, I think I should probably get like a manager soon because I'm just feeling very overwhelmed. I'm getting more opportunities, but negotiating them is just really stressful. I don't think I'm very good at it. And I'm missing stuff. That was the other thing. I started like missing emails of brands trying to work with me. And she was like, oh, actually me and my husband. And I was like, what do you think? Do you think I should wait till I remember I didn't even have 100,000 followers. And I was like, do you think I should wait until I'm at 100 or like, what do you think? And she was like, oh, actually me and my husband are starting an agency. Like, we'd love to get on a call with you and we can like tell you about it. And it was kind of like, obviously, you know, we had the call and all that, but I was like, one, I don't even know any other agencies or managers. I was just kind of like asking a question I didn't have the answer to. But also, you've already been helping me all this time. Like, so obviously, even if I had other options, I would go with you. So, but I think it should be, I think the misconception is that agencies will bring you money. You should not sign with an agency unless you have a steady flow of income. Their job is to manage things for you, to be the go-between, to do the negotiations. They do pitch and they will bring you things, but it will never be the majority of your income. Do you feel the need to reserve parts of your life as off limits? Absolutely. For me, there are people that can share everything. And I realized that it's just not ever going to be me. Bring this closer. I can only share things I'm okay with being critiqued. I think that is the healthiest tip I could give. Because you put it out there, it doesn't matter if you ask for suggestions or not, you're going to get them. It doesn't matter if you ask people what they think about it, they're going to tell you. So in order for me to stay sane, I shouldn't share anything unless I don't mind it being critiqued, right? So I will share my outfit because if someone tells me they hate it, I'm like, oh, I get it because it's my outfit, whatever. Or I know everything is not for everyone, right? I can share my house, even though I'm very passionate about it and, you know, I'm enjoying the process of like figuring it out. But again, if someone is like, I hate your house, that's a stupid decision. Why'd you do that? I can roll off my back, whatever. Okay, weird, but okay. I can share my makeup and someone can be like, that's the worst product. I hated that product. Okay, we're different. We have different skin types, whatever. But then if I share my friend and you call her ugly, that will not roll off my back. And if I share my husband and you tell me he hates me because he didn't smile when I put the camera on him, or he looked annoyed when he was eating, that will not roll off my back. So I probably shouldn't share those things. That would be the same thing to do. And so much of it is trial and error, right? These are all things I've done before. And then I've looked at the comments and gotten completely pissed off and it's ruined my day. And I'm like, well, that's not okay. So we're just not going to do that because I just can't. I'm not going to keep begging you to not be an asshole about something. I just won't share it. That's how that works. Why don't you take vacations? Is it that you just enjoy being home more than anywhere else? Yes, it really is. It's so crazy. Like, but I also understand that like it's a humongous privilege. I used to love taking vacations when I did not love my life. And I needed to escape it. And I needed a break from it. And I needed to forget about work. And I needed, you know, I know that it is a huge privilege that I don't have a life that I feel the need to escape anymore, was my point. And because so much of traveling is work, I haven't found the balance of being able to travel and prepare for a trip and not make it work. So that's what I'm figuring out. And until I can do that, I don't want to waste the money traveling when I know that when I get, first of all, before I even get there, I'm already planning all the shoots I need to do and all the things I want to do and like all the content I want to make. And like, I'm still figuring that balance out. So if ever asked, would you join the Real Housewives of Potomac? I have been asked. I have not been asked specifically about like, here's an offer, would you join? But I have been probed and like my interest has been gauged, and it's always been a hard no for me. I just think certain people should be on TV and certain people shouldn't. I don't like being a part of anything that I don't have some sort of control over. I don't like other people telling my story, other people editing me and creating a narrative. Nothing about that. It literally, if you knew me in real life, you would know the Housewives is like the antithesis of who I am. I don't like drama. I don't like, and I used to love Housewives. Like I'm talking early Atlanta Housewives and even like Beverly Hills Housewives. But at a certain point, I even had to stop watching it because just watching people argue and like, it would like, I'm taking this too seriously. Like I don't play like that. So like I'm getting upset on behalf of someone who is actively participating in nonsense. So it's just a no to me. How do I handle commentary disguised as compliments? You have two choices. Either you can, sometimes I know or I can sense people just want a rise out of me, and then I'm not going to give it to you. Like you say something snarky and I'm going to hit you with a, oh my God, thank you so much for watching. And they're thinking like, did you read it wrong? Like, why are you just saying thank you to me being an asshole? Yeah, thank you so much for engaging. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And if I don't have the time, then I just block or delete. Or block and delete. That's it, and that's all. You need a stable income before pursuing content creation as a full-time job. Absolutely. I think I'll just tell you what I did. Before I left Target, and this was a fairly short amount of time, but I also knew what I had to rely on. So before I left Target, I got my last bonus, which at the time I think was $20,000 or $25,000. And then I also paid off all of my credit card debt. I was someone who never had a lot of credit card debt, but I always kept credit card debt because I just knew like I had a job. I would just pay it off, right? And then I would get to, there'd be times where I pay it all off and then I spend it again. Like it was just like a silly cycle. And I was like, you know what? I can't go into this entrepreneurship with any debt. So any extra money I had, instead of going shopping, I paid it all off. So then I had no debt, obviously still had bills, and then I had this savings. But I also had a year's worth of making money from brands. For me, the issue was I never kept track of that money. And it wasn't like brands were rolling in, but like I would get like 1 or 2 brand deals a month. And that would just be fun, money. I started buying luxury things. So it was kind of like, I haven't been keeping track. But if I can just make, I tallied all my bills and I realized I need less money than I think I need also, right? I was like, oh my God, I think my check every month, I'm making $5,000 or $6,000 a month. So I'm like, that's how much I need. And then once I've looked at my bills, I was like, well, actually, I only need like $3,500. So I'm like, okay, at that time, one brand deal, I was getting like $2,000. So I'm like, okay, if I just keep getting the 2 brand deals a month, I should be good. But I have this savings. And even in my mind, I was like, I'm quitting my job in May. I had to stay on until May to get my bonus in April. But I'm like, I'm just going to try for the summer. And if I go through the summer and I'm just digging into my savings, I'm going to get a job at the end of the summer. So let me just see if I can make it to the summer. And I did. I didn't have to go in my savings. I went in my savings to like go on a trip. But I also in my mind was like, I also am going to have to make the sacrifice of living a little differently, right? Like, I know what life looked like with a steady job, but I'm probably going to have to shop a little less. I'm probably going to just do things differently. I was prepared to make those sacrifices. I also started overlining my lips. You know, another makeup tip that you can take? If there's a filter that you like, figure out why you like it. I realized the filters that I liked always had eyeliner. I stopped doing eyeliner I feel like 10 years ago. And they have like overdrawn lips. I was like, why don't I just try that in my makeup routine? I love it. It's a very like Bratz doll vibe, but I like that. I love fashion and started creating, but lack the funds to buy new pieces. What can I do? I know we've answered this before, but I have more to add. The biggest tip I can give anyone that is creating: you are your target audience. You are your target audience. So think about what you need, right? You don't have the funds to constantly go out and buy and create. So what would you love to see from your favorite creator? Probably how they remix things, probably how they go thrift shopping to add, key pieces or statement pieces to their wardrobe without breaking the bank. Probably how to layer different items to make a look differently, right? How to wear something 3 different ways, how to shop in the men's section to get more cost. That's what you should be making. The exact problem you're having, your target audience is also having. They will find you if you give them the things. They don't want to see the same shit everybody else is doing. You just created your own lane. Okay. We have marinated for quite some time. I think the only thing I'm going to add, because I just feel like this just disappears immediately, is more blush. Do one last little, I didn't put anything on this brush, but I'm just gonna make sure everything is blended together. And then maybe a little more in my waterline, just for, This is the look. I hope this helped. Let me know if there's a tip that you found in this process that you think would be helpful, or if you have any questions, something wasn't super clear, I didn't put it on the screen, leave it below. I hope the Q&A was helpful. I hope you had a good time. Hope you relaxed. Maybe you chilled. Maybe you were getting ready. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.